I've said this before, but we live in a psychotic alternate reality where politicians focus on legislation pertaining to non-existent culture war issues that they make up in their heads, rather than addressing real systemic problems in this country, like poverty, like access to affordable and quality healthcare. So we elect politicians with the expectation that they'll represent our needs, that they'll represent the changes that we want to see. During their campaigns while running for office, and especially on television ads, they vow that they're going to fix major systemic problems and issues. That's why we elect them, because they have the power to change laws. We are a constitutional republic and a representative democracy. We expect them to represent us. Well, to many people's surprise, not including myself, Texas Republicans have put a big legislative emphasis on one specific issue. Texas Republicans are silent when it comes to legislating reform on healthcare and housing and addressing the homeless and poverty epidemic, but those issues are not quite as important as this one. They are focused on passing a bill that bans, wait for it, litter boxes from being in classrooms so that kids who identify as furries don't use the bathroom in the classroom. I wish I was kidding. I wish I was. But here's a video of James Talarico, a progressive Democrat in Texas, exposing the ridiculousness and the non-existent issue of the Furries Act, is what they call it.
Can you name a school where it has been confirmed that students are using litter boxes?
Well, what we do with this bill is we prevent that from happening, but what we don't take out.
Can you name a school where it has been confirmed that students are using litter boxes? This was at the top of your press release. This was mentioned when you introduced this bill, created quite a stir. So I'm asking, can you name a school where it's been confirmed that there are litter boxes being provided to students?
For this purpose, no, I cannot.
Your tweet about this bill was flagged by the app itself under their community notes, and their fact check said sensationalist claims about furries literally behaving as animals and receiving accommodations such as litter boxes have been repeatedly debunked as hoaxes. Is that correct?
It was flagged on, community notes?
Okay. I find it concerning that these types of debunked conspiracy theories are being used by politicians at the highest levels of our government, including in this legislature, who know that they're incorrect. Are you aware that Governor Abbott said, quote, kids go to school dressed up as cats with litter boxes in their classrooms?
Sure.
Are you also aware that when the governor was asked by the Dallas Morning News to name a single school where this happened, he couldn't? And PolitiFact called this a pants on fire false claim started by online rumors?
Okay.
Do you think it's a good use of our time to write laws based on debunked internet conspiracy theories?
This idiocracy is not unique to Texas politics. Unfortunately, we see this happening all across the country, where Republicans will focus on legislating small factions of their weird culture war issue, wasting precious taxpayer dollars, debating bills in their legislative halls that don't affect anyone, or maybe affect a tiny sliver of the population, a very small marginalized group, perhaps. There are so many fucking things that our elected officials should be focusing on. This is not one of them.
Well, this isn't, this piece of legislation before us covers that among other things that are true.
My concern is that instead of holding a hearing about student mental health, instead of holding a hearing about school closures across Texas, we are spending precious legislative time toward the end of this legislative session on a bill called the Furries Act. And honestly, Representative Gertis, this whole thing is just weird and honestly a little creepy. And I think that's the point, because this is all, in my opinion, a manufactured, debunked smear campaign against our Texas public schools.
100%. The Texas governor, Greg Abbott, is trying to transfer public school funding to cover his private school voucher scam. And I made a whole video about this and I reacted to James Talarico before. The governor of Texas has received an ungodly amount of money from private school lobbyists in his state, and this is exactly what those donors get in return. You get the man who holds the highest office in the state publicly discrediting public schools by pushing false, debunked conspiracy theories about kids using litter boxes, all in an effort to get the public on board with his private school voucher scam. It's disgusting. If you live in Texas, I'm so sorry.
Governor Abbott has used this litter box rumor to paint our schools in the worst possible light. He even used the litter box conspiracy theory to push his private school voucher bill. These culture war attacks are nothing more than an effort to discredit our public schools to justify defunding those public schools. Texas librarians are not grooming kids, Texas teachers are not indoctrinating kids, and Texas schools are not providing litter boxes.
Politicians focusing on legislating culture war issues existed long before Donald Trump came into the picture in 2016. But it's becoming super clear that the MAGA movement has turned your everyday elected Republican official into a weird, perverted shell of a human being. These Republicans in Texas have put so much effort into passing this bill that it's almost laughable how insane it is. When they're putting in a fraction of the effort, or none at all, in addressing severe systemic issues like poverty, homelessness, addiction, gun violence, lack of access to quality and affordable housing, healthcare, and all of this is happening while the public school system in Texas is on the brink of collapse at the hands of its own governor.